Hello and welcome to Weaving the Magic. My name is Kelly, and today's video is a reading of the astrology chart of the solstice happening here in my location on December 21st at 9:55 a.m. exactly, which I will get to the numerology among many other things as I break down the energetics of what is happening for us in this beautiful time. I want to talk about the solstice symbolism, what it means. This isn't exclusive to the northern hemisphere, though that's where I am. The southern hemisphere has its own variation and its own take where we meet this energy. And that's wonderful because we'll talk about duality, which plays a very important role in this solstice, with a degree of Gemini being particularly important. I'll be talking about the astrology, but mostly about the archetypes present, because if you're not an astrologer and you are not familiar with the terms and the verbiage around it, I aim to make that experience translatable without you needing to learn a whole new language. I aim to transcend the language of astrology to talk about the astrology of what's going on in this chart, because I believe that it's useful information for everyone, whether or not you have the time to practice astrology. So we're going to dive into this chart, we're going to break down the energies, and I hope you enjoy this video. If you haven't subscribed yet, do that so you can be aware of the next update, next video that comes out. Thank you for liking and sharing this with anyone else. And so without any further ado, let's dive in. So the solstice that happens in December every year, whether that's the winter solstice or the summer solstice, depending on where you are, always happens at 0 degrees of Capricorn. When the sun hits exactly 0 degrees Capricorn, that is the mark of the solstice. And in this chart, I see a lot of incredible things. But let's hone in on that symbolism first of 0 degrees Capricorn. Capricorn being a cardinal sign, Capricorn being the sign of the winter. This is the structure. This is the bones. This is like the bare bones minimum of what is needed to survive a winter when you think about that. And again, if you're in the southern hemisphere, we're going to talk about that symbolism as well, but Capricorn is the bones. And if you're in the summertime in that hemisphere, and this is bringing on a new thing for you, this is still valuable, because the bones is, what is the experience that you're having? What is the bones of the experience you're having? Is it Cancer, summertime, frivolous, that additional joyful, happy, all of that stuff? Or is it Capricorn, like basic needs, survival type of thing? And I don't mean frivolous, like unnecessary. I just mean like additional on top of. Unless you're physically surviving, your emotional needs don't mean much, right? If you're starving to death, your first primary concern would be to get food to sustain your life instead of process your emotions, right? It just stands to reason. So Capricorn being one of the later signs and Cancer being one of the earliest signs is really just this interesting note of the duality there, how really there is no more important than another, and how everything works in tandem. But this initiating 0 degree point of a cardinal energy where it's moving either into winter or summer, it's the initial phase change. It's the spark of something new. This relates to willpower. This relates to who are you? How are you showing up? It's about the Fool card. It's like the world is going to keep on evolving and turning. You're always caught in the infinite existence because you are consciousness experiencing something. But on some level, you get to choose what's happening here. You get to choose how it's going to feel to you and how you're going to structure it, which is really the same thing, because if you choose how it feels to you, you're structuring the world around your desire, your will, your intention, your resonance. So it's very interesting, this energy to begin with, the solstice, how it basically gives us a brand new start. And it gives us the ability, especially in the winter time, gives us the ability to quietly contemplate all things that have physically accumulated and brought us to this now moment, because Capricorn is also about time. It's about the building and the eventual and the gradual completion of something, and so that takes accumulated time. It's about the bones that structure, the muscular system, the nervous system, all of the other systems on top of it. The skeletal system is that bones basic. And then again, on the opposite side, Cancer, the other end of this stick of an archetypal duo, is like this emotional need to feel this experience, because what good is bones if there's no juice in between, so they're not grinding on each other, right? If it's all work, if it's all planning for this eventual end, if it's all structure, if it's all rigidity, there's no fluid, there's no juicy, there's no emotion, there's no sensuality, there's no womb, then nothing ever gets created. It's just being built or forged, and there's really no joy in that. So both are very, very necessary. Neither is better than the other. And while there's a maturity that comes with Capricorn, because it comes so much later in the zodiac, there's also this innocence and this purity that has such wisdom found in Cancer. So whether you're celebrating the oncoming summer or you're sitting in the quiet of the winter, it's both the same story, where there's a meeting of equal and then an exchange of power between the light and the dark, the night and the day. I would call it the good and the bad, but the point of the solstices, and especially this one, is to speak to, literally, because Mercury is in the middle of a square, a T-square. A T-square is where there's like a triangle of tension, okay? And the apex, the midpoint of the triangle, whatever is opposite of that, is the way to express, to release the tension. And opposite of Mercury is Gemini. There's nothing there, and that's like so fantastic, because it's like making up your mind, or not making it up, opening up your mind to transcend the duality of Gemini, where there's this left and right, and we fail to consider everything that's in between, all around, behind the scenes, within, without, as above, so below. You know what I mean? There's so much in the mix there that's not just either or, it's both and. Both and. And this is about both and thinking, which is going to bring me also to the fact that right now, and I'm going to pull up my chart in a minute so I can like look at the scheme. Let me do that. The sun is directly in between Mars in Capricorn at 4 degrees, and Venus following very close behind at 26 of Sagittarius. Now, we've been talking about the archetype of Capricorn, the bones, the structure, the building, the I want to have something tangible, I want my time to have meant something, and Mars being the archetype, the planet of action, of will, of drive. I will do this, I am doing this, I matter, my dreams are important, this is what I want, I'm going for it, is there also. The moon is farther ahead as well in Capricorn. So the moon is the inner emotional world. This is like something that I feel deeply. And in Capricorn, this is also like I feel it in my body. My body is feeling all of these emotions. My body has been holding all of these emotions. And my body is leading the way via my emotions and my willpower. And Venus is finishing up in Sagittarius. Sagittarius being the archetype of the archer. The arrow pointing forward, but it's a fire sign. It's not about the building blocks and the practical tangible. It's about the expansion of wisdom, of conscious thought, of free conscious thought, of free association. I'm being told symbolism, Kelly. This is the weaving the magic. This is what weaving the magic is all about. It is about the feeling your own meaning of making of reaching gnosis over and over and over again through your ongoing experience, because not just one arrow is shot through the bow. You continue shooting, you continue practicing, you continue trying to expand your ability to hit a further and more challenging target, right? So this thing here with this Mars and this Venus being right outside of the sun, it's bringing this focal point on like, hey, how can we do this together? How can we harmonize this willpower drive and the feminine want to just experience and not always just continue forging forward, but receive the experience, to sit with it, to be with it, to enjoy it, and not just plow through it and keep going forward? How do we marry the two? How do we get rid of this duality thinking of I'm either working or relaxing, you know? How do we do the work that relaxes and rejuvenates and renews us? How do we make that our work? And just a little further behind, moving through Sagittarius, is where Mercury is utterly important to this whole conversation, because sitting at 13 degrees of Sagittarius, this again is that point, the apex of this T-square, whose outlet is opposing it, Sagittarius, opposition Gemini. Gemini is the other end of the Sagittarius search for wisdom in its pure curiosity, its innocence, its acceptance of not knowing, and asking questions like, what about this? What if this? Curious about this? What if I experiment with this? And Gemini also is the sign of the mirror, of seeing ourselves as brothers and sisters, not to be cliche, but oh well, because it is the sign of siblings. It's the twins. It's like how we can look in someone else and see ourselves in either a dirty or clean mirror at whatever varying levels and degrees in whatever specific areas of life, you know, and that's for each of us to discern. And that's what this whole conversation is about, is like, are we using that mirror appropriately? Because something else that's key happening very close to all of this is Black Moon Lilith at 0 degrees of Sagittarius opposing Uranus in 28 degrees of Taurus. So Uranus right at the end of Taurus, learning about its body, learning about consciousness, learning about the electricity, learning about its nervous system in the body. And this is opposition, Black Moon Lilith. Opposition means completely across from, at odds with, unless you can strike that harmony of a balancing act. And Black Moon Lilith is, what do we repress? What has been excluded from our psyche, from our society? What in us has been judged or deemed as bad, wrong, unallowed, and so we've pushed it down. This just moved through Scorpio, so it's had all that emotional charge built up, and now it's in Sagittarius, putting the wisdom together. It's starting to piece together the wisdom of when we shut things out of ourselves, the dark, you know, the bad, the negative, the shadow, it becomes a monster that can haunt us, and it actually gets trapped in our body. Taurus. Uranus has been learning how to express that through the body, through all of these somatic practices that have been coming out, and all this real understanding of our nervous system, our bodies, our emotions, the energy that moves through them, our whole entire field. It's incredible. And the solstice is asking us, with the sun right in between Mars the masculine, Venus the feminine, asking us to take a look at how both our will and our desire to just be can blend and harmonize, so we can Mercury, talk, express, speak, seek, learn, become wise, by knowing when to stop talking and listen, and by knowing when to open our mouths and stop being overly humble to the degree of, if you're not a quote expert on something, you don't have an opinion. No, this is the age of gnosis. This is the age of knowing through direct experience. And the nodes, by the way, with the South Node in Virgo and the North Node in Pisces, Virgo being this analytical, critical, and really needing to know all of the facts to get it right, to make the right medicine, to make the right herbal blend, to do the right procedure, okay, in the body, in the physical, in the real. And that's the South Node, so where we come from, what we've been learning, practicing, what we've gotten good at. And North Node, Pisces, being opposite of that in, well, let's float a little while. Let's get out of that intense nervous system reaction response loop that we've developed as habit, and let's learn what it feels like to be able to like lean back and take some breaths and take some pressure out of our body and allow some things to move through our body, to feel liquid, to understand the fascia, to really get in touch with our feelings, our emotions, and our inner world, you know, the spiritual realm that exists within our own personal understandings, multiple, because it's not just one, it's all. And collectively, we're all experiencing this. And in these years where Saturn and Neptune have been doing this dance together, of coming together and coming conjunct and moving away, and all of this retrograding and moving in and out of Pisces and then Aries into the collective and the self, structuring around what is the most important thing. And all the while, Chiron is over here in Aries going, I don't know who I am, and I'm moving through Aries figuring out who I am. And it's moving forward, and it's going to want us to move it into the body. It's going to want us to embody. It's going to embody whatever sense of self we've been developing, evolving, becoming, unbecoming, whatever, through this time. And this solstice is asking us to take a look equally at the light and the dark as equally relevant, beautiful, neither one punishable or offensive, as just a necessary part of the let's get it all out on the table and have the conversation of how do I enjoy my life moving forward. Because all the while as well, Pluto in Aquarius at 2 degrees saying, let's transform some new everything. Society's got to change. Everything, death and rebirth. The way you thought, gotta go. The way you intuited energy and interpreted energy and felt it and then acted and responded, like all of that is changing. There's a new era moving in, and what was before doesn't necessarily translate or carry forward. So it's like, back to Capricorn, what is your basic bare bones minimum structure? What do you need as a human being? Like a tree needs water, sunlight, solid soil that's not toxic, you know what I mean? It needs good soil, it needs nutrients. Like we need much of those same things. Are we providing that for ourselves? Because that's how we receive good health, good fortune, you know, when we're showing ourselves the love. Are we taking the action, Capricorn, every day, the structure, the routine, to like nurture ourselves so that Venus in Sag, we can receive this like intuitive wisdom that's won through our experience, and we get to actually experience it because our nervous systems aren't fried. Again, pointing to Gemini being like the release of this whole T-square of tension. Gemini being the nervous system, being that communications center of like, you can almost get stuck inside yourself in the brain, you know, because it's like you contradict yourself with yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, trying to figure out the right answers and things. And then one last note on Jupiter, because how dare we leave out Jupiter, moving through Cancer, making everything bigger in the realm of our emotions and our generational messages of emotions, because it is retrograde at the time of this solstice. So it really is asking us to take a look at what we've learned in our bodies, in our feelings, in our emotional, in our whole entire energetic field. And what of that is nurturing, and what of that is drowning us. And what we need to like get that Capricorn sunlight on, you know? Hey, actually, part of my structure is like I need a bucket and a mop over here right now. I need to like stop the leaking, you know? I need to stop the energetic leaking. And then I need like a stronger container for my emotions. And I need some more tools to climb up out of the bucket when I'm down there drowning in the bottom. And also I need the structure to know that it's okay to just float on the top of that bucket of emotions. Do you know what I mean? We don't have to fix ourselves, this solstice is saying. There's nothing to fix. There's everything to gain. There's everything to learn. There's everything to see, feel, experience. And there's everything to free and liberate. And whatever we do or don't of that is going to be carried into our bodies as we move forward, as Chiron moves forward into Taurus in the coming time. So this really is like a solstice to mark, to feel and then mark, to commemorate, okay, what your body has carried you through and what you want to free it from carrying forward from this point. So that's my general take on this chart, the astrology of the solstice. And on the date of the solstice, on the 21st, I'm actually going to be hosting a live video. I'll announce the time in my community tab, and I'll put it in the comments here once I publish this, because I want to bring in some tarot and give my community, my subscribers, the people who've been supporting me, some support in how you can help this move through your body and hear your body's wisdom, hear the wisdom of these archetypes, and feel and see how they're showing up in your real life. And it would be nearly impossible for me to accurately look at any single one person's chart, and let alone multiple, squeeze that in all on a live. However, I do have personal readings available through my website. But on this live, on the solstice, I'll be using cards to connect, and I'll do as many one-card pulls per person as I can in the time that I can take away from my family and my own prioritizing of myself and my self-reflection and being with my energy that day. But I wanted to extend my light and my wisdom born of shadow with as many people as I can. So be on the lookout. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe so you can get those notifications when that video is going to come out. You can join the live. And thank you so much for sharing this video with anyone you think that would enjoy it or would benefit from this information. I can't wait to see you in the coming video. Take care.